The process of working with a buyer's agent to buy your next home has changed, and it's a big deal. There's government regulatory changes that address buyer to buyer's agent relationship. Buyers are going to have a lot of questions on this. It's all pretty new. Questions like, are these regulatory changes between the buyer and the buyer's agent? Are they on a national level? Are they local? Are they mandatory? Who's responsible for paying the buyer's agent? What options do you have to avoid paying the buyer's agent fee? Don't worry, I got you covered. My name is Bill McCue, and I'm a co-leader of the Sarasota Homes Group located here in the sunny Sarasota, Florida, and also co-owner of the most comprehensive local real estate website, SarasotaHomes.com. All right, first and foremost, it's important to understand how the working with the buyer agent has changed. And when I say change, I know that word can scare a lot of people, but in reality, it really shouldn't, especially if you choose the right buyer's agent to work with from the very beginning. The great news is that you are in complete control as the buyer. However, buyers do need to have more education. They need to understand this process a little bit better than they did in the past. And that's really where our group can help. So in a series of videos, I'm going to explain all these changes and how a buyer navigates it all. So let's dive in. So what are these regulatory changes? Prior to August 2024, when a seller listed their home for sale, they agreed in the listing agreement to pay a commission fee to the listing brokerage. Now, that commission was usually a percentage of the sales price of the home. So the listing agent, with the seller's agreement to allow for cooperation and compensation, would offer a portion of that commission to the buyer's agent as an incentive for the buyer's agent to bring a buyer to the property. The split was actually predetermined at the time of the listing, and it was advertised in the MLS to the buyer's agent as a guaranteed payment. So under this listing arrangement, buyers generally didn't have to pay their own buyer's agent fee directly out of pocket. The seller paid their listing agent commission out of the proceeds of the sale. That one larger commission fee covered the listing brokerage as well as the agreement to pay a split with the buyer's agent brokerage. Now, due to regulatory changes, compensation for buyer's agents has transitioned to be the buyer's responsibility, and the public display of buyer's agent compensation paid by the seller is no longer allowed in the MLS. It certainly can be offered by the seller, it just can't be displayed in the MLS. Now, this does not mean that the seller is not willing to pay a buyer's agent fee. In fact, many sellers have already prepped for it and they're expecting to pay it. The major changes is that number one, buyers must have a written agreement with their buyer's agent, which kind of explains the buyer's agent duties to their client, just as the seller is going to have that written agreement with their listing agent. Now, the agreement's got to be in writing and it's got to be done prior to visiting any properties. And then the second change is that buyers are ultimately responsible for paying for their buyer's agent. And just as I said, though, sellers oftentimes are going to be willing to pay a buyer's agent fee or credit the buyer towards their buyer's agent fee. And in fact, they're probably expecting to do it. The seller and the listing broker just can't advertise the buyer's agent compensation in the MLS like they did before. What a seller can do, though, is advertise a credit in the MLS, which they can apply to the buyer so that the buyer can pay their own buyer agency fee. So since now you have to have a written agreement with a buyer's agent, it's really important to know that there's 3 different types of representation that you can receive in Florida. In a previous video, I discussed the 3 different types of buyer-agent relationships which exist. And I highly recommend that you watch that video to make sure that you sign the right agreement with a buyer's agent, which is the representation that you're actually expecting to receive. And as a caveat, the default relationship that most brokerages in the state of Florida follow is not what my team, the Sarasota Homes Group, recommends for buyers. So check that agency relationship video out to learn more about the 3 different types of agency relationships, which we recommend to avoid and which we highly recommend to get. All right, let's get back to it. So it's important to understand that, with these changes, the seller can still offer to pay buyer's agent fees, but now they just have more options. So those options will include 1, we add a term in the offer for the seller to pay a credit towards your buyer's agent fee. Or 2nd, we could add a term in the offer that the seller is going to pay the agent fee direct. 3rd, we could even negotiate that fee with the listing brokerage. Or 4, it could be any combination of the 3. So the key takeaway in all of this is you. You as the buyer are completely in the driver's seat. You decide who you're going to entrust as your buyer's agent through a written agreement. You know the terms of your agreement that you're going to have with your buyer. You get to decide what terms you want to put in your offer to the seller, which can include or not include paying your buyer's agent fee. You can ultimately decide to either move forward with a deal or not based on the seller's response to your offer terms. Now, there's a lot to discuss with working with your buyer's agent. There's going to be some important caveats, to avoid when searching for a home, which can really cost you a lot of money. It can cause you to lose representation rights that you think you're getting, and it could potentially expose you to paying the buyer's agent fee unnecessarily. I plan to address these in another video, so if you want to see that video, hit the subscribe button now and the notification bell, and that way you won't miss it. The Sarasota Homes Group's developed a 62-page online buyer's guide. It covers every aspect of home ownership, from choosing a right agent all the way through the process to finally closing. So if you want to check this out online, check the link below for our online buyer's guide, and it's instant access. All right, I hope you found this video a helpful start. If you're getting more serious about your home search here in Sarasota, Manatee County, please reach out to us. Let's set up a time to talk about your search. I can learn more about your needs. We can review the entire process. We'll answer all of your questions, and we can get you started on your journey for home ownership here. Our group has helped hundreds of buyers find their Sarasota home, and we've earned over 150 5-star reviews, and we'd love you to be our next client. So on behalf of my wife, Cheryl, and I, and the rest of the Sarasota Homes Group, thanks for watching. See you on the next video.